everybody. Welcome to ABA Inside Track, the podcast that's like reading in your car, but safer. I'm your host, Robert Perry Cruz, and with me as always are my fabulous co-hosts.
Hey, Rob, it's Diana.
And it's me, Jackie.
And we are here to bring you a podcast about behavior analysis and behavior analytic research. But for this episode, it's our preview, wherein we tell you the goings-on and the episodes coming out in the upcoming month of November. Yes, good old November. It's getting a little chilly, and you know, if you're in America, you're gonna celebrate Thanksgiving soon. That's
and
nice.
Jackie's birthday.
And Jackie's birthday. A lot
We're
of
all
fun
gonna
things.
celebrate that.
A lot of fun things. Yep. So if you are new to the show, these previews come out. If you are on our Patreon feed, they come out a week early, so you actually get them at the end of October, so you know what's going to happen in November. And if you're on the regular free feed, that's fine. You get these at the beginning of the month to know what's going to be coming up. So again, whether you want to be ahead of time or just right before it happens, it's totally up to you. Well, let's get started, shall we, with what we will be discussing in the coming month. We've got 3 topics as well as a special bonus book club episode for our patrons. So why don't we start with our episodes coming out on the free feed.
Free feed. That sounds funny.
The free feed. That's what everyone calls it. I've learned everything I know about podcasting from just listening to other people's podcasts. So
Oh, I love
who
that.
can say?
Free feed.
Great. All right, that's me. I was just making sure I had all of them located over here. So first up, we have an episode on receiving feedback. And I feel like we talk a lot about giving feedback, but rather than that, we're actually going to discuss receiving feedback. So we have several articles to review related to that topic. The first one is identifying the relation between feedback preferences and performance. That's by Bacatti, Guerra-Holtz Fisher, Morris, and Vollmer, published in JABA 2021. Then we have Teaching Appropriate Feedback Reception Skills Using Computer-Based Instruction, a Systematic Replication, by Walker and Sellers, published in JOBM 2021. And then we have Teaching Employees How to Receive Feedback, a Preliminary Investigation, by Ehrlich, Nosek, Carr, and Wine, in JOBM 2020. And very excitedly, we're going to be joined for that conversation by both Seth Walker and by Dr. Seth Walker and Dr. Tyra Sellers, which is exciting. We have a dual author representation for an article, which is pretty great.
There was applause.
Sorry, there was a...
Yeah.
I know. I don't know.
Something.
So we'll have that topic, and then our next topic that we're going to review for November is teaching personal pronoun use. So I want to clarify what that means, right? So I know we talk sometimes about, we've had previous episodes discussing overall pronoun usage within our field, but this topic is less about that than specifically about personal pronouns, which means I/you pronouns. So we're not getting into he, she pronouns or anything of that regard, how one might or might not teach those, but classically we see challenges for some folks in learning that I/you distinction. So we wanted to see what research was out there on that particular topic.
There's this cute meme going on TikTok when it's like, say I love, and the little girl goes, I love, and they're like, you, and she's me.
Oh yes, perfect, exactly.
Right?
It is,
and they're like,
tricky.
no, you. She's like, me. So there, perfect example. Look it out, it's very cute.
Nice.
We will not be talking about that meme on our show. We're a scientific show, all right?
Right.
Get out of town, TikTok.
All right, so the articles that we're going to be reviewing for that are Teaching Pronouns to Individuals with Autism by Morgenstern, Causin, and Wineland, published in Behavioral Interventions in 2019. What happened to this one?
This one looked like
Oh,
it.
man.
The first page got ripped
The
off
dog
and
ate
swooshed
this
when I put it
one.
in a bag.
This one had experienced some heavy reading.
It's titled Developing the Receptive and Productive Use of Pronouns in an Autistic Child, Use of Modeling and Programming for Generalization by Hendler, Weisberg, and Odell, in Child and Family Behavior Therapy, 1988.
Ooh, I was
87.
87.
It's copyright 88. I don't
Sorry
know
about
why that
that.
would be different, but
Maybe early release.
Yeah, right.
I don't think that would have existed in the 80s.
I know.
How would you have early released it back then? You'd have been like, sneak it under people's door in the mail.
You put it out in the window, like when you go to look for like for sale houses.
Post it in the window.
And you're like, oh, an early release.
Got the paper boy coming by, just like hucking it up to the door.
I love that.
There was surprisingly little research on this topic,
and that was in the introduction of every single article about pronouns.
To find these.
A lot.
There's also one we'll talk about titled "Does Autism Affect Children's Identification of Ownership and Defense of Ownership Rights?" by Hartley, Harrison, and Shaw. Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders, 2021. That one's brand new. And finally, Personal Pronoun Errors in Form versus Meaning, produced by children with and without ASD, by Zane, Arunachalam, and Loister, published in the Journal of Cultural and Cognitive Science, 2021.
Yep. They're all like vastly different.
Yeah, I know.
Full disclosure, Diana, you originally came up with this topic, and you found the two articles that seemed to be about pronouns, and I said, let me see if I can find anything. And so I found two that were sort of related to pronouns and pronouns in general and development. So we may give two of those articles, the two more recent ones, a little bit less time, just because they're not really research articles in the same way, not talking about single subject design.
It's a little bit of like a brainstorming episode, right? Like,
it's a little here's what we know, here's some information.
More on this topic.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, though.
Important one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one that is not addressed very much at all. So that'll be kind of exciting. Yes,
Dearth?
Jackie's new favorite
dearth
word.
of. Oh.
There's a dearth of research.
Very good. And then for our last week in November, we're going to be talking all about goal setting, gearing ourselves up, I guess, for maybe the new year.
The goal, we need to make sure we know what we're doing in December.
Right, that's always a goal.
I've just been thinking about goal setting a lot. No lie.
Good for you. That's step one.
I appreciate you don't lie to us in these previews.
Goal.
I've been thinking a lot about goals.
Great.
You know what? I've also been thinking about goals. No, I haven't. I'm lying. I'm just lying to you guys.
That was a different episode. That was episode 112.
Yeah.
Lying behavior.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So you're in the past. We're in the future.
Okay.
You have to set some goals. All right. So we have several articles recommended by Jackie for us to review for this topic. The first of which is using task clarification, goal setting, and feedback to decrease table bussing times in a franchise pizza restaurant. Which one will it be?
Maybe all.
By
Maybe
Amigo, Smith, and Ludwig. Published in Journal of Organizational Behavior Management, 2008.
This one's heavy with the organizational behavior management.
Yep, and that's okay. Next is the effects of graphic feedback, goal setting, and manager praise on customer service behaviors by Louis and Bailey in JOBM 2007.
So we should have done this one in October with like the graphic feedback, for Halloween. You want to have like your horror articles.
Graphic feedback.
Oh my God. No.
Oh,
so much blood.
Well, surprisingly, goal setting and graphic feedback go hand in hand a lot of the time.
So we'll do it in October next year if we do a follow-up. It's just so graphic.
Gory details. All right, next, graphic feedback, performance feedback, and goal setting. Increase staff compliance with a data collection task at a large residential facility.
Don't even have to read that article.
I love it. They just give it all to you right there. That's by Gill and Carter, JOBM 2016. Don't have my glasses on. Next.
This one's a good one. This one's my favorite one.
Okay. I love the font. It's really big.
It's big. It's like a 22-point font. Behavioral analysis of goal setting by Fellner and Solzer Azaroff in JOBM all the way back in 1984.
What? I didn't even know there was a journal of OBM in the 80s.
This was volume 6, so it had only been around for a couple years.
Okay.
Yep. It was, back before Y2K.
Like many things, it was.
Then, finally, an evaluation of the effects of very difficult goals, like in caps, very difficult goals, by Roos and Williams, also from JOBM. However, this time, it was published in 2018. And that's the plan.
Their definitions of easy goals, difficult goals, and very difficult goals.
All right.
Great.
Good. That'll be fun. That's a little off our typical topics. Right. Yep. And then also, if you are following us on Patreon, we'll be doing, at the end of November, our winter book. Is it our fall or I think we call it our winter book club. We're a little off on our months with that. We're kind of rebranding. So
rebranding.
Well, not exactly rebranding, but like when we're doing things.
My eyes.
The season's like like when the season actually changes is not really when you think it is that season.
Gotcha.
Right.
And so it technically would still be fall until the winter solstice.
So I guess
so midway through December it's winter.
So we'll do it in December next year maybe.
I don't care.
Who knows?
It's when is it happening?
The end of November is when it's going to come
out. So it's fall.
Okay.
It's fall. We can call it
here in Massachusetts.
winter.
It is sort of winter, but
I'm just going to call it winter because that's what I already called it
winter
in the title. And we did a fall because we did bring in not bringing out the best in people. We did
bringing up baby.
No. It'll come to me.
How
to Win Friends and Influence People. We did that in the fall. So that's technically the fall book club.
Oh, okay.
We'll get it. We'll get it in a nice graph. We'll get graphic feedback. It'll be really great. So the end of November, if you are following us on Patreon, if you subscribe at the $10 level, you'll be able to get access to our full-length book club episode on a book about sustainability or about changing social behaviors, kind of writ large. And that was sort of we got the idea from our excellent episode with Dr. Megan Martineau about sustainability.
All right, excellent guest.
She was an excellent guest on an episode. Maybe the episode was mediocre. She was excellent. The rest of us, we just brought the whole average down. But she was excellent, and she gave us an idea. We should do a book about either sustainability or how do you change behavior in large capacity at a societal level, because again, we're usually talking about single subject
really
design.
Be thinking about these problems.
Exactly, these are big problems. And so we had 3 books out there, and if you subscribed at all on our Patreon, you were able to vote at all. If you clicked on the page, you could vote on our book, and the winner was Nudge. Nudge recently came out as Nudge, the final edition. Then I got a flu shot, so.
It's like a magnet. Everyone just wants to touch it so bad.
I've touched it 2 times already.
But anyways, it was Nudge, the final edition, which is the 2020. I think it's 2021 is actually when the book was released. So Nudge was originally released in 2008 by Richard Thaler, the Nobel laureate of economics, and Cass Sunstein, who won a different award, but not the Nobel Prize. It doesn't seem. And they wrote Nudge back in 2008. And I read this book a long time ago. I think you might have gotten it to me you gave it to me as a gift. So I read that back in the mid-2010s. And we thought, well, let's do the final edition just because the book had just come out. There's a whole chapter. They're so cute. There's a whole chapter on climate change. No chapters at all on elephants. They don't even mention the elephants in the book.
Well, indirectly, yes. Climate change.
Huh?
Climate change directly influences the elephants.
Oh, but in the same respect, the book's all about Star Wars, too, because how can you make a Star Wars if, climate change floods out the studios?
I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, you can't. It's impossible. The studio's melted. Or it's too hot.
Okay.
In any case, Nudge, the final edition, will be the book that we're reading if you are subscribing at the Inside Tracker level. So it's our most premium patrons. You're able to join in our discussion when we record that in mid-November. But for those of you other folks on Patreon, you'll be able to join in. And just for joining in and listening at that level, you're able to earn 2 CEs. No additional charge. So if you've been thinking, I don't know, this Patreon sounds good, maybe I'll give it a go. Hey, why not? You can even just start at one of the lower levels, like the $3 or $5 level. $3 if I had time to update the page. Yeah. Yes, you do have to listen to the show.
And as of right now, you just email me after that with the code words, and then I make it the CE.
Yes.
It's like a little low tech.
I have some high tech thoughts. We'll talk later about that. But in any case, if you're not sure if the behavioral analytic book club sorry I lost it there behavior analytic book club is for you, well, certainly you can check out our September supervision episodes to get a taste of what our book clubs are like. We're also going to be unlocking some of our book clubs from last year, so we're believe like
Disney. We're releasing them from the vault.
They're coming out of the vault. So I can't remember what date I put it on because I uploaded it a while back just to come out so that's going to be coming out around this time, like late November, early December. And that'll be our Meaningful Differences book club, which was our very first book club that we did in this format. So again, if you're not sure if you want to subscribe, well, you've got 2 opportunities to hear what that sounds like. However, the CEs are only for the patrons, and the newest episodes are only for our patrons. So again, up to you. You have free choice. As Nudge would tell you, we want to make it easy for you to opt in or opt out to get any of this amazing content. It's so good, though. You don't want to miss it.
Really excellent.
And that's what's coming out in November.
Neat.
That's a lot of stuff. Potentially you have this, 3. You have like 5 things coming out.
Yeah.
Especially if you didn't listen to Meaningful Differences last year when it came out. You got
all
a
your
ton.
C's in 1 month.
So
JK.
much. All right, so let's move into the errata section of the show where we talk about other things going on for the podcast. And you guys did some traveling. I didn't get to go, but Jackie, why don't you talk about some of our busy October?
So October was fun, busy, and tiring. We started off October attending Babbitt virtually, which was so fun. It was a Thursday workshop series. Friday was the general conference. They do an amazing job virtually.
It's an excellent conference.
Excellent. A lot of feedback, like interactive attendees in the chats, which is so fun. Diana was in the lead on Thursday for most interactive chats.
Yes.
In the top 5.
The top 5. Yeah, I didn't win.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. And we got the privilege to host the Babbitt Lunch Games, where we played some games that Rob created, and they were so funny and so fun. One of them was Brad Pitt or Lasers. That was
which came first, Brad Pitt or Lasers.
And then the second one was I Could Never Say It. Preference.
It's
a few of my favorite things.
Yeah.
It was a preference assessment
the bottom,
game.
Yeah, you had something on the bottom about putative.
I don't remember my alliterative titles
of. I don't remember now.
Something was professionals.
It was
or something.
very professional.
It was some real and some fictional characters, and you got to see their their putative MSWO results from least to most preferred to see if you could guess who we were talking about.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
That was fun, and then we did the data game at the end, so that was really fun. Thanks for everyone that came. We had some winners.
Yeah.
Some people
no losers though.
No losers. So when people play games on the internet, they are cutthroat. Like before we could even give options, people were like raising their hands and chiming in. They're like, "This one looks like maybe Benjamin Franklin," and then they were right.
Right. Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was.
So that was really fun, and then a week later, Diana and I got to travel alone. Girls' Weekend to the Thompson Center conference, Autism Conference in Chesterfield, Missouri, and that is one of our favorite conferences to go to. So
fun.
We were so lucky to go. It was really a great time.
Yeah.
It's also a 2-day conference. We presented on work-life balance for early career BCBAs. It's something that we've been thinking a lot about for our students, and we decided to craft a presentation around that topic. So that was really fun. They had a mix of virtual and in-person. And all the food was still there, so
food was great.
The fried raviolis.
Always. Yeah.
I was not allowed. I was told I could not attend.
Not by us.
Not by you, or by the Thompson Center.
You're like, actually,
just you guys.
No, there was really great talks by Dr. Sivididi Moda and Dr. Boyle and Dr. Alai Rosas, and so we learned a lot. We got a lot of good notes for, whenever you go to a conference, you get invigorated.
That is the fun part, because you're like, now I want to do this, or I want to talk about that, or I'm going to look more into that, or I'm going to use that. Yeah.
It rained the whole time, so we didn't get to go outside. But
we saw lots of familiar faces, and like, what at this point are like old friends? We're like, hi. It was great. Yeah, it's a really fun conference.
So I encourage anyone that is in the Midwest and wants to go to that conference to definitely go.
Yeah. And thanks to Babbitt and the Thompson Center for having us. Felt really special.
Yeah, and I hear the trip back was amazing.
Yeah, so our flight home was so bumpy. Before the flight even started, the women that worked there, I'm blanking on what they're called, stewardesses.
Yeah,
the airline stewardesses, attendants. Passed out full. Trash bags. Before it even started, they're like, who gets sick?
Yeah.
And my favorite, she was like, if you throw up on your hand, you just throw up on your hand. So
then you're just stuck with throw up hands.
But did anybody say, fasten your seatbelts, this is gonna be a bumpy night?
I think so.
Did they? They should have, because
I think so.
It's like the perfect time.
At one point they were like, there is no reason you should be standing up.
Yes, I had already stood up at that moment. So I had to go to the bathroom really bad, and so I went. And just as I was in the bathroom, we had a huge turbulent episode where I flew into the air in the bathroom.
It was very scary. And everyone screamed on the plane.
Yep. Yeah. And I was in the bathroom flying in the air without my pants on, and I fell into the toilet on my way down. So that was funny.
At least you didn't hit the flush and get sucked out.
I'm glad you didn't hit your head.
Right, I didn't hit my head. I was holding on. Then I had to shimmy out of the bathroom on the ground, which was so funny.
That sounds,
It was a very, very bad.
I'm glad I missed that part.
Yeah, but then it was fine. You know, it was great.
I mean, like, the next day we felt fine.
Yeah.
I did not feel fine.
Ooh.
No.
From then on.
With the captain sort of like, yeah, sorry, what are you going to do?
No.
It's going to be rough.
He was like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, oh,
They couldn't help it. It was,
No.
they knew it was going to happen and there was no
But
way
they don't
away
care.
from it.
I was like when the captains are like, yeah, it's going to be a lot of turbulence. Whatever. I've flown through worse. I like that. I feel like
this was the flight.
Some confidence.
This was the one where they say I've flown through worse. It was this flight.
It was
okay.
this flight.
This was the worst they've flown
Yeah,
through?
this was
It was
Yeah.
very bad.
No, thank you.
But we got home. We're safe.
Yep.
We're fine. I washed my pants. We're great. So we've had an interesting October. Can't wait for the spring when conference season arises again.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And stay tuned for more conference action.
All right. Well, with all of our goings on out of the way, why don't we move to see if we had any emails? And we had one email, and we had a patron who was commenting. We had a kind of a back and forth, and they have a deep, dark question for you, Jackie.
Sure,
so I said
read it.
we're gonna put it on the air. We're not just gonna type back and let you time to craft. We're just
Yep.
gonna boom and throw it at you and see
That's
what you
fine.
say. So I'll do, since Jackie did the errata starting point, I'll do the letters today. So why don't we start here with, this was comments on episode 181, Contingencies During Tolerance Training with Dr. Mashid Guy Magami. And this is our patron, Ksenia, who wrote, loving this episode. Thank you guys. Hit the nail on the head that the hardest skills to teach are tolerating and cooperating. However, Jackie, this is you, Jackie, I need to address your hatred of DROs. Jackie historically hates DROs.
I do. Yep, I'm not shy about it.
All right, DRO. No, you're not. You are on the record multiple places, such that other people will actually comment on your hatred of DROs. DROs don't make a lot of sense for an intensive ABA setting or a setting where high quality teaching is taking place all day, but they are easy for people to understand and probably usually easier to implement if someone is really having to limit how much attention to give a client, like schools or group homes with lower staffing ratios / less well-trained, motivated staff, or families where caregiver attention is really stretched. Any thoughts on that?
So one thing I would say about a DRO is I think in a absolute pinch, use it, right? But because you have to. But I do not think it should be ever an appropriate long-term treatment because you're not teaching anything. It is just as easy to run a DRA without extinction than it is to run a DRO. Just putting it out there. That's what I would say.
So you put it in like a case, in case of severe problem behavior and no other good answers at the moment, break glass, and then you grab it out.
You grab the DRL. Because
Right,
it is just a Band-Aid. It's like a very quick Band-Aid, but it should never be used as a treatment, in my opinion, because our job isn't just to decrease problem behavior. Our real job is to teach communication and functional skills to our clients, and a DRO does not do that. So a DRO paired with something else, yeah, that could work, but a DRO alone is not a sufficient treatment if that's going to be your treatment. Even if in all of these situations, because if you're going to have a teacher that needs to be teaching something, that's where the DRA comes in. That's what I say.
Okay, so there's room for multiple ones, but you could probably fade the DRO out because you're working on improving other behavior.
You should be fading the DRO, Eric, because it's not an end treatment. It should not be an end treatment ever.
Sometimes it's even just like an issue of semantics, right? Whether you're calling something a DRO versus a DRA. Because, most of the time, even if you're running a DRO, you likely are going to not provide the reinforcer if there are other serious problematic behaviors occurring at that point in time, even if it is what's recommended at that point for the DRO, right? You're going to include the wait period. So once you've done that, then you've basically made it into a DRA, but sometimes we still call it a DRO. But like common sense makes it into a DRA.
And she said, this is a very sore topic for me. It is, because I've seen...
Let me... you finish it, then I'll ask you the question.
Okay. It is only because I've seen kids not get the treatment and services that they need because we've stopped at a DRO, right? So then you've done nothing at the real part of your job, which is to teach skills.
Okay. And then Ksenia, I wrote her back, and then I followed up, and then Ksenia followed up, I should say, to ask, does Jackie care about anything like she does about hating DROs? So flip side of it, all right? Take all your hatred for DROs, flip into the positive side. What do you love as much as you hate DROs.
Teaching appropriate skills.
Okay.
A DRA is the opposite, in my opinion, of a DRO because at least you're teaching something functional.
Okay.
That's the reason I hate DROs, because they don't teach anything, right? It's the absence of treatment, which I actually think is harder because it's like, am I reinforcing? Am I punishing? I don't know. Because it's been a fight, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think DROs are actually easier. I think a DRA is the way to go. Mm-hmm. If you're thinking about DRO, just do a DRA, dude. Just do a DRA.
Yeah, and I think like we as behavior analysts, and I know that she's in agreement, like we know enough to be able to make these types of statements. If you're trying to figure out something that's easy for parents to do, then you're going to simplify things down, and it might end up being a hopefully easy implementation for the parent. So NCR could also be another potential option in that regard. We have a really old episode on NCR, and it's one of my favorite articles because it was the one where it was the mom with quadruplets, and they figured out that the behavior was attention maintained, and then they created a relatively easy schedule for her to implement where she systematically provided attention to everyone and then faded it out to a manageable level. And I loved it because it was not like a super fancy intervention, and it was something that the mom could actually do and feel good about, but it was still, function based, but simplified as much as possible. So I think that is a really important perspective, is that you can't ask parents or people who are watching multiple children to implement something that's really complicated. You'll end up with low fidelity, and likely it could cause more harm than good. So that's a really important point to bring in. But if we're the behavior analyst making the plans within the structured environment, then we can pick something that's more ideal. And then if it's a less ideal environment, then we have to think about what's the simplest thing we can put in here, but ideally that's still going to work towards a functional skill.
Yeah. So I hate DROs, but I understand the utility of them in the moment. Mm-hmm. So that's my kind of take home, is that they shouldn't be an end all, because they're really not an end all.
So you hate DROs, but you don't hate the people that use them.
No, not at all. No.
Right. Because you understand.
I get it, as long as it's not an end goal. Like, we're going to do this forever.
All right. And we had one other, and this came through our regular email, abainside@gmail.com. This was Jane, who sent we found it to be a very amusing kind of anecdote. Hey, y'all, I'm listening to, it's Corey ten Boom's The Hiding Place, which I think is a book. I did not have a chance to look that up. I'm assuming it's a book. And she references how to win friends and influence people. Using Carnegie's method of talk about what they like, she chatted with a German doctor in charge of a prison about his dogs for 10 minutes, and he eventually let her sister free on a medical discharge. Corey and her whole family were a huge part of the Holland Underground and saved many, many people before they were caught and killed or thrown in concentration camps themselves. Yikes! That's a sad, tragic ending to that heroic story.
Heroic email.
But it was another pro of the book, so I think Jane is a fan. I was more on the positive side, I think, of the book than everybody else, though understood many of the criticisms of the book, and sort of how it's kind of probably done what it needed to do, and it's in the past now. But in any case, one pro that you could give to it would be that in some of these techniques saved lives during the occupation of Holland. All right, and she just wanted to share that with us.
Sharing,
so, Jane, thank you very much. That's fascinating. Any kind of anecdote or kind of tip that relates is always fun to hear. So, thank you so much. All right, well, I think that's everything. It was a little weird switching jobs today. So, now let's make sure we're still recording. Oh, we are still recording. Hooray! So that brings us to the end of the show. We hope you enjoyed our preview for the month of November 2021. I didn't say the year. People could be thinking it's 2023 or 2025. No, 2021.
2030.
It's not 2030. No,
I'm looking great for 2030, by the way. I know.
We hope you all have an episode in there that speaks to you, that you're excited about. We'd really love it if you follow the show. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on social media. We're on all the socials as ABA Inside Track. You can go to our website, abainsidetrack.com, to find links to all the articles that we ever discussed, to find the episodes themselves, as well as to find a place to purchase CEs if you're so inclined for listening to the majority of our episodes. If you like more ABA Inside Track, or you'd like to be getting episodes a week early, as well as some other bonuses like discounts and access to some other events we'll be doing throughout the year. You can go to patreon.com/ABA Inside Track, where you can join at our $3, $5, or $10 or more tier to get different bonuses. You can go check that out. Again, $10 our premium. You can get access to those book club episodes right when they come out. At the $5 level or below, you get some discounts as well as access to the episodes a week ahead of time, which can be fun, I say. And certainly you can find all these episodes on YouTube if you like to use the YouTube subtitle feature, or send us an email at any time at abainsidetrack@gmail.com. All right, well, we'll be back with the first of our new episodes next week. But until then, keep responding. Bye.